Hello, folks. Welcome, Spoon TV. My name is Diamond Slanger, and I'm going to continue this tour of the Tubman Boulevard in preparation for the construction of two overhead bridges aimed at reducing traffic congestion currently in the country, especially along the Tubman Boulevard and where we do see a lot of vehicular traffic due to the increasing number of vehicles in Liberia. So what we can report is that we've also witnessed the Liberia Electricity Corporation, the LEC, is also repositioning its assets that are, within the project scope. High tension lines, distribution lines, transformers, and the rest. We just spoke with two of the engineers, Chinese engineers, that are also a part of the project. And they said that the construction of the residential complex that we showed earlier, just there within the compound of the Samarkand Sports Complex, will be completed by mid-June, according to those engineers, and the laboratory as well will be completed within the coming month. The laboratory is going to serve as a quality control laboratory to test the quality and durability of materials that will be used in the construction of the overhead bridges as well. So there will be two of those bridges. You have the West Overpass Bridge, the main line. I'm going to give you the specification according to the Ministry of Public Works. The main line for the West Overpass Bridge is going to span 1,140 meters. Auxiliary roads, 480 meters. Additional ramps, 950 meters, and the overpass structure is spanning 287 meters. That is for the West Overpass Bridge. For the East Overpass Bridge, the main line reconstruction is 870 meters. Additional ramps, 1,080 meters. Overpass structure, 162 meters. So as I said earlier, these bridges are aiming to ease traffic congestion and enhance urban mobility as well. It's also going to enhance the country's road infrastructure and the infrastructure in the country on the overall, and the agreement for the construction of these bridges were actually signed in June of 2021. In June of 2021, after an exchange of letters on September 9, 2019 between the Liberian government and that of the government of China. So we're approaching the EWA roundabout, and we'll make our way onto the Tubman Boulevard, and you'll start seeing signs of preparatory works being done ahead of the construction of the two overpass bridges. So the total estimated cost of these projects is put at 200 million Chinese yuan, or yuan if you want to call it that way, and that is 29.5 million United States dollars. This project is being financed by the Chinese government under China Aid. So you have two overpass bridges, the East Bridge and the West as well. So the project is under support from the Forum on China Africa Cooperation, that's FOCA. We're around the EWA junction now on the Tubman Boulevard. So the work was expected to have begun in February of this year, but due to some delays, the project has not commenced yet in its fullest terms. But groundworks are already being done. Earlier, I showed you the residential complex where the expatriate workers will be housed. The engineers and the rest, heavy-duty mechanics, specialized drivers, and the rest will be housed. And is also going to improve the economy for the time of the construction. One may ask, how is that going to happen? You're looking at direct employment, indirect investment. You're looking at raw materials being purchased or procured from Liberian vendors. You're talking about sand, you're talking about crush racks, you're talking about steel or iron bars or steel rods, if you want to call it that way. You're talking about, those who will be drivers of these machines, the bricklayers and the rest. They're all going to earn salaries. And that is directly from the project. Then the indirect is also dealing with vendors, those who are going to be selling food, those who will be selling water, and the rest of those things that amounts to indirect investment during the span of the project as well. So this is the traffic congestion that we're talking about. So this is around the SD Cooper junction, and all along, though the overpass is going to land at the Boulevard junction, but for those that will be going along the Congo Town back road, they will use one of the two. And those that will be coming straight towards the ERWN can either use the current road or use the overpass to take it as an alternative route, and then come down from the overpass and get back on the Tubman Boulevard. So this is the traffic congestion we're talking about, where usually you see people taking the opposite lane and all of that. But my main focus is to showcase to you what progress has been made so far in anticipation or preparation of the construction of these two overpass or overhead bridges. So just ride along with me. It's a wet day here in Liberia, so the video is going to be a bit gloomy, but I'll do my best to bring you the image for which I want you to see. And this is in no way a pro-government PR or whatever it is, but this is about showcasing what's happening in the country. And people have been asking the question, how far with the work on the overhead bridges, what is the progress like? And it's our duty as a media institution to bring you answers. So the overall cost of these two overpass bridges is estimated at $29.5 million United States dollars as well. So as you can see, starting from here, you then start to see rubbles of places that have been demolished. As you can see, I'm doing my best to get you a clear view. So you can see all these places have been demolished in preparation of the overhead bridge construction. So give me a minute and let me reset the camera in a way that you can have a good view of what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, so I cannot hold the phone because I'm driving, but I will do my best to see if I can reposition it in a way to get you clearer view. So you can see all these places have been, demolished in anticipation of the construction work, and it spans all the way, including our very own Spoon FM. Portion of our fence was also demolished for the construction work. Yeah, so I'm trying to get you a good angle that is not going to be so much interrupted. Okay, I think this is going to do for now. Yeah. Alright, so let's continue our drive. So as you can see, all these places have been demolished. Fences used to come as far as the edge of the road, but they've all been demolished for the construction of the overpass or the overhead bridges. So this project was signed by the CDC administration. The agreement was signed actually by the CDC administration because there is a huge debate in the public of whose project is this, but at the end of the day, it's a project for Liberia. It is not a project for a particular political party or political institution. It's a project that the entire country is going to benefit from, irrespective of whichever political party you support. So, but politicians will always put a political spin to things for relevance or whatever political currency they want to benefit from that. But as you can see, we'll get to an area where you see the light poles have been repositioned by the LEC. They're still working. I saw their work crew trying to reposition utility lines and the rest. But the project, which I said was signed in June, the 8th of June 2021, this project was announced by the CDC administration, and to so much anticipation from Liberians as to when it was going to start, but we did not see this project commencing under the WIA-led administration. No, we did not see that. We're told that the overpasses were going to be constructed. Houses were marked, especially houses that were deemed to be within the scope of the work. They were marked, but we didn't see any sort of push towards the construction of the overpass bridges or the overhead bridges, if you want to call them that way. So all along this stretch, areas that will be affected have been demolished, and areas that would not be affected, have been left to stand. So we'll get to an area where you see the LEC has repositioned poles, and they continue to do that as well. So speaking to two of the Chinese engineers who are spearheading the construction of the base camps, including the laboratory, were informed that the lab is to be completed in June. They will start the roofing in about 10 days, but before that they will plant the machines, if you want to call it that way, put them on their bases, and have them installed before the roofing of the lab. But for the residential complex, I was told that by the 10th of June, the residential complex that is within the SKD compound will be completed as well. So it's beginning to rain, and we have to be extra careful. All right, yeah. All right, so if you can look at these poles here, the cement poles that you're seeing, they are the new ones that have just been installed. So as you can see, looking at this one, you can see the ground was freshly dug. As you can see that one there, the ground has been freshly dug. I'm doing my best to give you a good view. So the ground there has been freshly dug, as you can see. Those cement poles were installed recently. So what the LEC is doing is, so now you can see it better. So you look at the pole that has currently got the wires. They're not the ones that are being used right now. So the concrete one at the back is what they've just installed for the tension lines to pass on. But this wooden pole just ahead here, this wooden pole, the two wooden poles you're looking at, they were the ones that actually had the high tension wire, but they're all being repositioned as well. So just across the road is the fence of the Spoon Network. So you can see that the fence has been demolished. It's a new fence that you're looking at because it was within the project scope. So a good portion, a good chunk of the compound of the Spoon Network was also, demolished due to the construction of the proposed construction of two overhead bridges here in the country. So prior, the Spoon Network fence was just at the edge here where you can see the old pillar, but all that has been, demolished so far for the construction. Even the church, Winners Chapel, if you look across the street there, the church also, a huge chunk of their fence was also demolished for the construction of the overpass bridges year. So this is what is unfolding. Assets of the LEC are being repositioned, and all is in anticipation for the overhead bridges construction. So the further we go, the more you see. And I'm hoping with the not so good visibility, I can be able to keep bringing you images. So we're around 540, and this area bore the brunt of much of the demolition. So this entire area here, a majority of the structures were demolished. Majority of the structures were demolished. You can still see rubble. You can still see the rubble from the structures that were demolished. So the 540 area, if you were to ask me, bore the brunt of the demolition exercise. You know, there is the Calando structure that was the center of so much debate, because if you look at this entire area, almost all of the structures here were demolished, leaving the Calando building, you know. So that raised a lot of questions, and as to whether or not his proximity to the ruling party played a pivotal role. Okay, so talking about the removal of structures, so you can see that this microwave tower that had the high tension line is also being, you know, removed. So they're still working here. They're still working here, but you can see that this structure has been decommissioned. It's been, you know, removed bit by bit. So you can see this was a whole tower that was standing that had a high tension wire, but the wire now has been, you know, repositioned. And all these areas here, you can look all across the road, all over, all those structures were demolished for them to be repositioned. So that is what is happening as the country is preparing itself for the construction of 2 overhead bridges by the Chinese government through the China aid. So that is what is happening. So you just saw the LEC pickup passing us. That's what they're doing. They're repositioning much of their assets that are in the affected areas. So that is what is happening here. And the evening traffic is already setting itself, and the usual opposite lane is happening. So this vehicle, like most vehicles, you know, are being used to taking the opposite lane. So you can see all these structures here have been affected by the construction. So across the road there, you can see the building from what was known as the Chinese clinic has also, a portion of it has been demolished, and the bridges, or one of the bridges, is going to end here almost at zone 3. So beyond zone 3, there isn't any demolition of homes or structures beyond zone 3 police station. So that is 4 updates concerning the construction of the overhead bridges here in Liberia. We hope to speak to representatives from the Ministry of Public Works as to when. They gave a February timeline for work to begin, but work has not begun. You can argue that the construction of base camps, the construction of laboratory, and the rest, and the construction of residential complex constitutes work being done. Or you could argue that actual work on the site has not begun, but preparatory works are also happening as we speak. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Diamond Slanger. Beyond this end, the overpasses or the overhead bridges do not extend beyond this point. So it's a wet day here in Liberia. Bid you farewell and bye-bye.